America, the land of the free, the beacon of democracy, finds itself at a crossroads. A nation built on the ideals of liberty and justice is now grappling with internal strife that threatens to unravel the very fabric of its society. A dangerous rhetoric, fueled by misinformation and fear, is tearing at the very fabric of our nation. This rhetoric, often cloaked in the guise of patriotism, is in reality a poison that seeps into the hearts and minds of our citizens. This rhetoric, often emanating from right-wing leaders and amplified by partisan media, threatens to undermine our democratic institutions and the very values we hold dear. It is a calculated effort to sow discord and distrust among us, to weaken the bonds that unite us as a people. It seeks to divide us, to pit us against each other, and to erode our shared sense of reality. By distorting the truth and promoting falsehoods, it creates an environment where facts are malleable and reality is subjective. The consequences of this dangerous rhetoric are all too real. We have seen families torn apart, friendships destroyed, and communities fractured. The social fabric that once held us together is now fraying at the edges. We have seen it manifest in the violence of January 6th, in the rise of political extremism, and in the erosion of trust in our institutions. These events are not isolated incidents, but symptoms of a deeper malaise that afflicts our society. This is not leftist alarmism. It is the stark reality of the moment we inhabit. The stakes are high, and the future of our democracy hangs in the balance. We cannot afford to be complacent or indifferent. The time for complacency is long gone. We must recognize the gravity of the situation and take decisive action to counteract the forces of division and hatred. We must confront this dangerous rhetoric head on, for the sake of our democracy and our future. It is a battle that requires courage, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the principles that define us as a nation. It is easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel as though the forces of division are insurmountable. But history has shown us that when we stand together, we can overcome even the greatest challenges. But we must remember that we, the people, are the ultimate guardians of our democracy. It is our collective responsibility to safeguard the values and institutions that have made America a beacon of hope and freedom. We must resist the allure of easy answers and simplistic narratives. The path to unity and understanding is often complex and requires thoughtful engagement and critical thinking. We must engage in respectful dialogue, even when it is difficult. It is through open and honest conversations that we can bridge the divides and find common ground. And we must hold our leaders accountable for their words and actions. They must be reminded that their primary duty is to serve the people and uphold the principles of democracy. The path forward is clear. It is a path that demands unity, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to the truth. We must choose unity over division, truth over falsehood, and hope over fear. These choices are not just ideals, but imperatives for the survival of our democracy. We must rediscover our shared values and our common purpose. It is in our diversity that we find strength, and in our unity that we find resilience. And we must never, ever give up on the promise of America. The journey ahead may be challenging, but together, we can build a future that is brighter, more just, and more united. One of the most dangerous and insidious examples of this rhetoric is the baseless claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. This assertion has been echoed across various platforms, creating a ripple effect that has deeply impacted the political landscape. This lie, repeated ad nauseum by certain political leaders and media outlets, has taken root in the minds of millions of Americans. The constant repetition of this falsehood has created an alternate reality for many, where facts are dismissed and fiction is embraced. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, including numerous recounts and court rulings, the myth of a stolen election persists. The resilience of this myth highlights the challenges we face in combating misinformation in the digital age. This is not simply a matter of political differences or differing interpretations of events. It is a calculated effort to erode trust in our democratic institutions, a tactic that has far-reaching consequences. It is a deliberate attempt to undermine faith in our democratic process. By sowing seeds of doubt, these actors aim to weaken the very foundation of our society. By casting doubt on the legitimacy of elections, these purveyors of disinformation seek to delegitimize any outcome they do not like. This tactic is not new, but its impact is magnified in today's hyper-connected world. How many times have we heard, "This election was stolen, folks"? The narrative is clear and unyielding, designed to provoke and incite. There's no doubt about it. The conviction in these words is meant to rally support and create a sense of urgency. How about this one? The evidence is everywhere if you just look. This statement encourages a selective view of reality, where only certain evidence is acknowledged. There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud. This is a fact supported by extensive investigations and bipartisan agreement. Every recount, every audit has confirmed the results. The integrity of the election process has been upheld in every case. The courts have rejected these claims time and time again. Judicial scrutiny has consistently found no basis for the allegations. The danger of this rhetoric cannot be overstated. It poses a significant threat to the stability and health of our democracy. When people lose faith in the integrity of elections, they lose faith in democracy itself. This loss of trust can lead to apathy, disengagement, and even hostility towards democratic institutions. They become more susceptible to conspiracy theories and more likely to condone violence as a means of achieving political ends. This erosion of trust can have dire consequences for social cohesion and public order. We must resist the temptation to dismiss these claims as the ravings of a lunatic fringe. The widespread belief in these falsehoods indicates a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. The fact that so many people believe them, despite all evidence to the contrary, is a testament to the power of disinformation and the fragility of our democracy. It underscores the need for vigilance, education, and a commitment to truth. We must work together to rebuild trust in our democratic processes and ensure that the truth prevails over falsehoods. Only then can we safeguard the future of our democracy. The claims of a stolen election are not new. They echo through history, much like the controversies that have plagued American football over the years. They are part of a long and ugly history of voter suppression and election denialism in the United States. Just as football has its own tales of disputed games and questionable decisions, our electoral process has faced numerous challenges. From the Jim Crow era to the present day, there have always been those who sought to disenfranchise voters and undermine the legitimacy of our elections. Similarly, in football, there have been efforts to ensure fair play and integrity, but not without resistance. What is new is the scale and sophistication of the disinformation campaign surrounding the 2020 election. The advent of technology has transformed both football and politics, making it easier to manipulate and spread false narratives. Social media platforms, with their ability to spread misinformation at lightning speed, have become powerful tools for those seeking to sow discord and undermine democracy. In football, social media has also played a role in amplifying controversies and shaping public opinion. You won't believe what they're hiding from you. Just as in football, where behind-the-scenes decisions can impact the game, there are hidden forces at play in our elections. We've all heard this too many times. The election was rigged, and the mainstream media doesn't want you to know the truth. This sentiment mirrors the outrage seen in football when fans believe a game has been unfairly influenced. These platforms are often used to create echo chambers, where only one side of the story is heard. Much like how fans of rival football teams might only see the game from their perspective, where people are only exposed to information that confirms their existing biases. This selective exposure can deepen divisions, both in sports and in society. This can lead to a dangerous polarization of society, as people retreat into their own ideological bubbles and become increasingly distrustful of those who hold different views. In football, this is akin to fans becoming hostile towards opposing teams and their supporters. As people retreat into their own ideological bubbles and become increasingly distrustful of those who hold different views. The same way football fans might argue over a controversial call, society can become fractured over misinformation. It is essential that we develop strategies to combat disinformation and promote media literacy. Just as football players study and strategize to improve their game, we must educate ourselves to better understand and navigate the information landscape. We must learn to critically evaluate information, to question the sources and motives behind what we read and hear, to distinguish between fact and opinion, much like how football analysts separate the play-by-play from their personal insights, and to be wary of sources that traffic in fear and division. In both football and democracy, integrity and fair play are paramount, and it is up to us to uphold these values. The real-world consequences of this dangerous rhetoric were on full display on January 6, 2021, when a mob of insurrectionists, fueled by lies about a stolen election, stormed the United States Capitol. This assault on our democracy, an unprecedented event in American history, was a direct result of the incendiary rhetoric of certain political leaders and media outlets. The insurrectionists, many of whom were armed and dangerous, broke into the Capitol building in an attempt to prevent the certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory. They clashed with police, vandalized property, and forced lawmakers to flee for their lives. 5 people died in the chaos, including a Capitol police officer. The images of that day, beamed around the world, were a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy and the dangers of unchecked political extremism. The January 6th insurrection was a wake-up call for America. It showed us that words have consequences, that lies can indeed have deadly consequences. It's time to unite. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay safe and live your best life.